Yep.
We all set? Call to order the Historic Preservation Commission meeting for March 8th, 2022. Welcome to all of those in attendance. May I have a call to order?
Roll call, Franken,
Yes.
Sage, excused, Miranda,
Here.
Powers,
Here.
Listigi, excused, and McGivern.
Yes. All right, we have a secretary's report. I need a consideration of the February 8th, 2022 meeting minutes.
I move to approve the minutes. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, or is that a roll call?
We can,
Was that?
You can do voice vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, minutes pass. Communications from staff.
sure, I have two for us. First one being the Certified Local Government annual report has been submitted. So I'll update the commission once when I receive word back from the State Historic Preservation Office. And then secondly, we do have an appointment for a new commissioner to fill our vacant seat. Currently, the appointee is David Arbogast. So he has a historic preservation background, and you may be familiar with him. He's done some water analysis for us for the City Hall, as well as 1208 Main. So his nomination at City Council is scheduled for tomorrow. So hopefully that goes well, and then he should be here, and we should have a full board for April.
Be a great contribution. All right. Is there anything else, Matt?
That's it.
Okay. And we have no old business, so that takes us to new business. Case number C0822-02. It's request for exterior restoration at 619 West 6th Street. The local Techland Best House is listed as a contributory structure in the Hamburg Local Landmark Historic District. Gorbach Revocable Trust is the petitioner. Hope I didn't kill those names. Staff?
Sure. Thanks, Alexander. We have the applicant online virtually,
Okay.
but I'll provide an overview first. So on the screen is the Techeton Best House. So it was originally built in 1867. It's a mix of different architectural styles, Italianate as well as Queen Anne. So outlined in green, that's believed to be the original portion of the home. And then in 1898, there was a two-story addition to the west side, so outlined in blue. And then it's also believed that the gable and dormer on that front elevation were added later on, so those were not part of the original construction. And you could see when you look at things such as the window width and some of the detail elements that they're showed just the different architectural styles over the years. And then the masonry on the building has been painted before. City staff wasn't able to find a time period when that was done, but there have been several layers and iterations of paint on the building over the years. So in terms of project scope, first it involves masonry work. So the applicant's proposing to paint the brick a uniform color. So currently you see different shades of red, gray, and white, and it's kind of a mismatch currently. So it'll be repainted a uniform color. The applicant has agreed to clean paint off using gentle means and soft brushes. And he's been sent the Secretary of the Interior standards for masonry cleaning and has agreed to abide by those. There are two chimneys on the building, one on the east side and one on the west side. Those currently aren't painted, so those will remain unpainted. So in addition, there will be some brick replacement. It's limited to two different areas. So one is around the base of the front door. There's some loose and missing brick there. The applicant has found bricks on the property, so he'll reuse those bricks to patch in around the front porch. And then there's also a hole, as you can see in that top right photo, on the rear elevation. The commission approved a demolition of a non-historic addition to the back of the building in August of 2020. So that's believed that's where that gap came in. They're using a soft mortar that'll be sympathetic to older bricks. Typically, staff would recommend for a mortar analysis, but just given the limited scope, it's not being recommended at this time. In addition, proposed is repair and replacement of missing soffit boards with a 1x4-inch lumber. So current material is wood. So any deteriorated or missing boards will be replaced with new lumber that'll match the dimensions of the existing. And then when everything's been repaired and replaced, it'll be repainted to a nice uniform color. There is siding in the rear of the home. So the applicant is proposing to preserve and refurbish the existing cedar plank siding. And then there are gaps in the siding where it's missing. So those will be replaced with matching cedar plank. So they've agreed to match the dimensions of the historic plank that's out there. So in the photo, you could see what the building looked like before the demolition of that small rear addition in the back, and as well as the state of the siding. And then finally, the applicant will be replacing the existing K-profile aluminum gutters. They're non-original and currently consist of a few different color variations. So they'll be replaced with the matching K-profile aluminum gutter in a nice uniform appearance. So staff is recommending approval of the project. It meets our historic preservation criteria in terms of preserving and maintaining material that can be rehabbed, and then where replacement's required, matching the existing historic material in dimension and material. So, yep.
Okay. Anything from the petitioners online? Is there anything from the petitioner that would like to provide to the commission?
No, I just want to prepare the outside for making it look appropriate for the neighborhood. I'm sure it's not been a very pleasant sight in its current multicolored state, so I'm very excited to move forward.
Is there anything from the commission? The only question I had is I did drive by it, and I was on the commission, I believe, when we dealt with your last application. I'm going off memory, but I think you wanted to replace some basement windows with vinyl, and we said no, but there was also going to be a back deck. Just since it was one application, I'm just kind of curious where you are on the whole scope of everything.
Right, since I found out that the back deck wasn't original and there were no footings, I didn't want to rebuild it being as unsafe as it was. So the only thing I'm going to do is leave the existing, so the base that the addition was built on was added in 1938, as far as I could tell from the permits. So I will leave that platform and have it as a deck, because there was a picture from a long while back, I think, with the Best family that is standing on that back area. So I'm just putting railing and, putting a new decking material on that tiny little landing before the back door, or in front of the back door.
Okay, great.
And I'm not, and the windows in the basement, I decided that since the vinyl ones weren't approved, I'm planning on just creating wood sashes that will match the original dimensions. And then if there is missing glass, I will simply replace it with the same kind of glass for thickness and size.
Very Very good.
But I figured for that, I'll probably submit a separate application.
Perfect. I think that's a good idea. All right, anything else from the commission? All right, I need a recommendation from the commission.
I move that we accept the request for exterior restoration and move forward.
I move we accept the exterior restoration moving forward.
I second.
There's an motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Okay, Powers,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Franken,
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
All right, thank you. That'll take us to case number C0822-03, request to reconstruct the retaining wall behind 510 West 6th Street. The retaining wall is located within the Hamburg Local Landmark Historic District. City of Davenport is the petitioner. Staff.
All right, so the commission will recognize this one. We've had a couple work sessions over the past year. So this is the retaining wall behind the home, which holds up the alley. So it's not the one that you'll see from the sidewalk along 6th Street. So it's the area outlined in yellow. So currently it's a limestone retaining wall. The condition of the wall, it's starting to buckle in certain areas, and it's very close to the home. It's about 7 feet from the wall to the home. And here's a view from the alley. As you can see, looking both east and west, how close in proximity it is. There's currently a wood picket fence on top of the railing. The city has shut down access to the alley, just given the uncertainty of the structural integrity of that retaining wall in the alley at the time. So here are some photos that just show how close the wall is to the home, which is the home's actually currently being renovated by the homeowners who are here. So it's about 7 feet away. So the recommendation from the commission at their November work session was to reconstruct the wall with modern but visually similar materials, and to save as much limestone from the retaining wall as possible, and to save them and then to potentially reuse them on other retaining walls throughout the city where possible. So one of the examples that was given was this one on East 6th and Iowa Street. So the proposed limestone will be preserved under this project scope. So just to outline, it's to remove the existing wall, to preserve the limestone for future use, to reconstruct a new wall and railing, and then to repave the alley. So there's about a 10-foot drop from the alley down to the grade where the home is. So the replacement block, it's called Ready Rock Stone. So it's a ledge stone option, and it could have a concrete stain applied to it. So on the left, you'll see an example photo of how this block visually appears. And then on the right, you see the existing wall. So the city tried to find an option that closely mimicked the size of the blocks, as well as the texture and color and overall appearance of that original limestone. And it was found that this would be the closest option available. And then given the height of the wall, there will need to be a new railing or fence along that edge. So existing, again, is just that wood picket. So staff is proposing a new black coated metal. So this is going to be designed similar to the staircase and railing that is just to the east of this home that connects 6th Street up to the alley. So the city's going to recreate that railing just to create one nice uniform appearance. As you get to the top of the alley and then look to the side, it'll all be uniform. So staff is recommending approval as presented, and it is in conformance with our historic preservation standards, which states that when you have deteriorated features and replacements required, to best try to be compatible with the historic character of the district.
Okay. Is there any questions from the commission? I know we've dealt with this before. No questions? I think the important thing to note here is that we're preserving the detail of a feature of the neighborhood, which is important, you know, so. Okay, I need a recommendation from the commission, please.
I recommend, am I on?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I
Chairman?
recommend to approve the certificate of.
Chairman,
Oh, I'm sorry.
it looks like we have some
Can we make
comment.
some comments?
Oh,
Please
absolutely.
do. I'd
I'm
love
so
to hear
sorry.
from the homeowners.
Please.
Absolutely.
The city was the petitioner. I forgot to even notice. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. I'm Richard Stone. I'm the owner of the house there at 510, which that wall sits about 7 feet from our house. But a couple of the questions I had, I want to thank the city for the last few years, some temporary fixes of that wall so we could come up with a good solution to repair or replace. And they've done a good job sticking with that. But I have a few more questions. One of the things that I really would like to know, and it's probably from these gentlemen sitting here, is how is the stormwater going to be handled? Because basically the stormwater is what caused the failure of that wall. It was compounded by garbage trucks driving along there and delivery trucks and everything else. But I guess I want to make sure whatever we're building is not going to end up washing out behind it just like the other one did and causing a failure down the road here somewhere. I'm sure it'll last a little while. This one lasted 150 years or whatever, so I guess it would. But I guess I'd like to know, and I saw you had a diagram up there, but maybe from that you could explain. Okay.
The engineers will come up because they love to talk about this.
Yeah, Ali, if you wouldn't mind
Yeah,
standing
come on
up
up
to the
and,
podium.
yeah,
Yeah,
introduce yourself, please.
okay, my name is Ali Garanti. I'm with IMEG and I'm working for the city to prepare that wall.
Thank you.
We are planning on, after we remove the pavement, the paved alleyway, we're gonna replace it with 7-inch concrete pavement that's swaled in the middle and pushes the water towards the east. So everything is gonna have a swale and go towards the east. That's how we're gonna
And
do
you're
that.
still gonna go down the Scott Street stairs then?
Yeah.
And does it come off of the alley? Which way does the water run? Does it run towards my house?
It's like a swale, it's like a V shape
So the middle of the
alley.
middle of the alley.
Right, we're pushing it away from where it is right now. So it'll go towards the east, and it has a V, and everything should run down. It's like a gutter all the way out. Okay.
If I may, can I continue
Yes.
asking some more questions?
Absolutely. Stand up here, right underneath the speaker if you would. Thank you. It'll pick up, you just talk for a moment.
All right. I guess the other question I had, does the blocks sit on a foundation or are they sitting on gravel or how are the wall?
Okay. They sit on a prepared sub base, and the base. If you look at that section, you can see the bottom base stone is the widest. So that's actually the footing for it, and we keep narrowing that as we go up. So definitely it have a solid compacted base, and that's to sit on. Yep.
Now in that drawing, I don't see the V in the pavement.
Because this drawing was made after the discussion we had with the city, how we're gonna drain it. But this is not the final picture. I will have another set of plans produced. The city had comments on my plans, and I will update them, and it will be as such, absolutely.
And just for clarification purposes, the Historic Preservation Commission is approving tearing down the existing one and the replacement on how it will look. The engineering piece of it hasn't been finalized yet. And then once Historic Preservation Commission votes on it, and it seems like it likely will be in the affirmative, city council will likely still have to approve the cost associated with it, because it will be over $50,000, which is the limit of our city administrator for approving things. So there will be another level that will have to go through as well.
On the picture of our wall there, you noticed there was some buttresses on there. Will those be put back in?
No, it's gonna be straight faced. If you can go back to the picture with side by side.
Sure.
This type of design does not require a buttress on it. So it'll be, look at the left-hand side of the picture, it'll be that kind of face. That's what we're expecting to do. There'll be no need for the buttress.
I guess there's no need, but to maintain the historic look, even if they're non-structural, could they be put in there? And then the ones at the end, I mean, they're holding back the hillside, so they will have to be there, right? I mean, that's the neighbor's steps there at the end of that wall. If you take that, if you don't put that up, their steps are gonna fall out of there, but.
Well, let's go back, if you can back up to that previous, okay, I'm gonna walk over here. And I'm gonna show you that my first initial, I wanted to replace the wall from here to here. It's about 37 feet and leave that buttress here and this wall here.
Mhm.
But then we decided maybe we'll take the whole wall out and stop it right here. So this buttress here or this wall here will stay as is. And that's from engineering point of view. And I don't know what you're trying to tell me is, you're trying to say you wanna take this wing wall out as well, or
Well,
what
they're,
were you thinking?
yeah, I mean, I guess both of those wing walls are
Well,
not.
this one is gonna be replaced for sure, because already
Okay.
on your side.
Well, I guess the other one is not nowhere near as bad as that end, but,
Right.
but it still is a little, I guess I'd be concerned about if we're doing this project, shouldn't we replace that at the same time?
Right now, I'm not planning on it.
You don't think there's any,
To be honest, I didn't really spend too much time on here. I focused on what you pointed out to me. You said we got this problem. So we focused on what you showed me a lot more than what the rest of the wall is. And I can certainly go back and take a second look at it and see how bad this portion of the wall is, but I didn't really plan on replacing it.
Can we get Public Works up here to jump in? Tom?
Hi, Tom Leapard from Public Works. And so to answer your question, we'll go back and we'll take a good hard look at this second wing wall and see what, try to analyze the condition and then look at all of our costs and everything. And I don't know, we'll have to try to decide if we think it needs replaced, number one, and number two, if the budget can fit it, et cetera. But we'll certainly take it into consideration and look at it.
and what about the small buttresses in the middle of the wall? I mean, I realize the wall would be structurally sound without them, the way it's constructed there, but, just to make it look like it was for all these years.
I guess that's more of a technical question, maybe, with the new wall materials. Can that be replaced or not? And
When I looked at it, I always thought those buttresses were just like a repair after the fact, sometime, in the 50s or 60s or something, or to stop what was happening.
Part of the structural.
Yeah, they're part of the.
Yeah, I would say that those were part of the original wall too. Now, I'm sure we could do something that would just be cosmetic. I don't know if any of the existing wall is small enough, or if we would have to construct something out of a new material. Do you know off the top of your head if we could use existing limestone?
Well, I'm not sure what the end result is. Are we saying we want to move those buttresses and put them in front of this wall? Or we're saying the new material should make it mimic that buttress?
Well, that's what we're asking. If they're in good condition, could they be reconstructed in front to? Well, my question to you is, can you do it? Are they in good enough condition to save it? Or would you want to construct it out of new material?
I guess I would almost assume that it might be better to be made out of the new material and just make it look like that.
More consistent.
Contrast.
I guess I haven't, I've actually been to your property and I've looked at this. Nobody can see it but you. So I guess my point is the level of importance of this.
You know how many people we've had visit our house in the last 2 years? A lot. But it's, you know, we spent a lot of effort in building or restoring the house to make everything historically correct, if you want to call it that. And that, I guess it's a historic district, and I guess we would like it to still look as close to what it did as possible. But, you know, if we build it out of the new material and are able to just put a couple of those in, you know, for show, if you want to call it that.
I guess maybe the answer, and Ali, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think we need to go back and look at it and see what our options are and see if we could use the new material, which I think everybody seems to agree might be the best way to do it if something can be configured with that. But I think at this point we have to say we need to do a little research and see what we can do.
Yeah, if there's something we can dovetail it into it to make it come out more maybe consistent, or instead of looking like something.
Got scab
Yeah, you
onto
just
it.
want to lay it on top of it.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to just scab it on top of it. I do have a question for you. How far is your property goes? If we get involved in replacing that retaining wall, does it involve other right-of-way issues?
It's where the property ends, just to pass that wall about, what is it, Don?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that.
Don, he's the neighbor next door, so.
Would you please come to the
Yeah.
microphone
Yeah.
and introduce yourself?
So this seems to me, we're not ready. Come on up.
My name is Don Wagner. I live at 514 West Sixth Street. If you could go back to the project scope slide. Yeah, okay. So the property line is right about here. And my house is right here, which used to be part of the same property. It's the mother-in-law house that was built in the 20s. And then
Can you
it
come
got
back to the
subdivided.
microphone so that we
Yeah,
can hear
would you come
you?
back to the mic? You can point out.
Okay.
Yep, you got it. You got our attention to where you're at.
Okay. Yeah, I did want to point out that there's a long set of steps from the alley
Yep.
to the west of that buttress.
Yeah.
And that buttress is holding those steps up. And because that was a mother-in-law house, that originally the access from Sixth Street was through Dick Stone's yard. That's the only access to that house. So it's not just like a decorative set of steps or some steps that are kind of rickety and obsolete. They're kind of important. The other thing I wanted to point out is, although the wall actually ends there, the little low wall with the railing, it continues, and it's from the water in the alley. It's pushed that wall. It's collapsed that wall. It's knocked almost completely over. In fact, I think it's held up by some tree stumps. And it also needs to have a wall with a railing. That railing that you're proposing for 510 needs to be extended to 514. I've always worried about it because I'm afraid some kids are going to be riding a bike or something and just go right over the edge. I'm sure Dick feels the same way.
You got one of your pictures or aerial that might show that? Can you point the area out on the slide?
It'd be easier on the one slide after that one, I think.
Yeah. Which one? This one?
The photo on the right.
I'll go back, or forward another slide there. There, yeah. Now you can see where the steps are there.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Here's this, low wall with a railing. Here's my steps to my house, and then on the other side of the steps was also this low wall, but it's like tipped over at about like a 60-degree angle. And the tree stump that's holding it up is gonna reach a point where that thing's just gonna fall into my yard. And the stump rots enough. But I would, if you're gonna replace this little low wall here, and put a railing in that matches what's going on in the rest of the alley, I would really like for you to do something here. I mean, even if you decide I have to be assessed for it or something, it really has to be done for safety reasons.
Tom, you come up here. Well, it seems like to me we're making really good progress. But it looks like we have a little mission creep, that maybe it's just not this particular site in the wall, but it's maybe a little bit larger that we probably may not, it may be a phase 1, phase 2, I imagine maybe. But if nothing else, I think we should have a plan for that entire
Yes.
structure.
Okay.
I hate to delay this because I know you guys want to get moving on
Can
this.
I make a suggestion?
Yeah, Laura, please.
So we're kind of dealing with almost an emergency issue
Okay.
with the wall buckling. And so maybe we can talk about an overall game plan.
That's
But
what
I know our risk manager's worried about the wall buckling.
Okay.
And so whatever the commission's comfortable with, if you want to give just for this linear area, let's move forward and fix the immediate need. And then we can always come back, because some of this is actually outside of our scope. The
It
city
is.
council will need to approve the budget for it. And this is not an inexpensive project. So so that we can get it, what we need to fix so that we don't damage a house.
Can I say one thing?
Yep.
So, I mean, basically what we're approving though is what kind of stone? So can't we approve that and say whatever,
That would be
whatever's done
something-
with the rest of it
Yeah, the
needs to be that same
You could do
stone?
that.
Okay.
I guess the only outstanding question we would have is the buttresses that were there.
Right.
Which I always viewed as a temporary repair, so
Yeah.
I could understand the point of the homeowner. I also can understand it's a limited site issue. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is preserve the detail of the neighborhood as best we can. We're not gonna reproduce it. So,
Yeah, and if the commission doesn't care one way or the other, that's absolutely fine. If we come back, and my question to you is if we do have the budget to put in the buttresses, would we need to come back, or are you okay one way or the other?
Commission?
I feel like it's our call as historic preservation to put it as close to what was originally there as possible. If it's in the budget, I don't know why you'd have to come back to us, in my personal opinion. I think we need to be sensitive to the homeowner. It is very close to their home. They've invested a lot of money in it. Safety's number one. If there's an immediate need, we need to address that and move it.
We could, certainly, like I said earlier, I guess, is look at the different options, the feasibility of using the new material, or would we have to use the old material? How would we do it? We can see how it will fit in, what the options are.
I
So
personally don't know how you get the new and the old to match.
Yeah. I think the brick's probably I think it's gonna be too big a stone.
I agree.
So I think maybe you can work with Ollie and do like 2 options for the bid, to see one without the buttress and one with the buttress. And we'll see what it comes in as.
I would think the city's resources would probably be better spent if we could leverage the entire wall as far down the alley as we could go. I know that's beyond our scope and with the buttresses, I mean, if we've got a deteriorating wall
If it's one or
further
the other.
west, you know, I know that might be down another phase, but I mean,
So as the commission, you can expand the scope here down further so that if we are able to expand it down, you can condition it saying future wall repairs or replacement should match similar rail and stone type if you want. And maybe we can do it that way, if that's something you're comfortable with.
I would think that we would want an overall scope of the scale of the project.
Okay.
And then it's up to the council to fund it. That's beyond our, that's really beyond our expertise or our responsibility.
I actually thought his was included, I'll be honest, so I'm all for it.
So as I understand, council's comfortable with the new material. We have some questions about if the buttresses are needed or not. Staff thinks that we can pass this, approving the material design with an option for the buttresses? Is that the best way to summarize it? I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I also think we're in agreement that the buttresses should not be a different material than the wall. I mean, that's a given.
I think that makes sense too.
To the two homeowners that are here discussing it, some of this makes sense?
Yes. One question I do have is not really related to the wall.
Appears like a big, absolutely.
One other question I have that's not really related to the wall, I think that wall looks pretty similar to what was there. I think if we can fine tune it just a little bit. Has to do with the alley and the bricks in the alley. I was under the impression that alley was designated as a brick alley.
Is that on the list? We have a list.
I don't
I don't
recall
believe
it
it is.
being on the list.
Yeah.
There might be brick underneath it, but I don't believe it's on the historic brick alley or road list.
We'll have staff check that because
Yeah.
brick surfaces is a completely different issue.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in retaining our brick streets. So,
Right.
but that will be a separate issue. If it is on a protected list, there's not much they can do with that without.
So
I
there's
thought
a
somebody told me it was on it, so I didn't.
Okay, so we can double check on that. There are standard specifications associated with that. If it is designated as a historic brick street or alley. And so that wouldn't need to necessarily come back to the Historic Preservation Commission unless the city is requesting its removal. So we'll double check on that. And if it happens to be, we'll work with Public Works and on how we're going to address that.
Now, the repair of the alley, is it just in the length of the wall? Is that, okay, because down at the other end of our property, I mean, the alley is all brick there. So, there's, where the wall was, several layers of different things, concrete, asphalt, brick, and who knows what. But down there towards where our garage is down there, that is brick down there. So. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so as I've kind of taken this in here, what I think is we're accepting staff's recommendation, amending to direct staff to complete the design of the entire wall to its further western design or edge point, and a budget option for the buttresses, which is a city council perspective.
So that takes in 510 and 514.
Yeah.
We approve the
should put
expanded
that
if needed. Approval.
Laura,
Is that what you're comfortable with approving an expansion of it? Or do you need to see plans for like a phase 2? Or you were just directing staff to include that in our design phase?
I think it's design.
Yes, and materials are approved.
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily need to come back to Historic Preservation Commission for,
No.
No, but I think it does make the work easier
Okay.
as we deal with the property to the west. I mean, if we can't do it right now, the homeowner can advocate to the council to fund it and to kind of, I mean, at least the process is going.
Okay.
And we know exactly what the outcome will be.
okay,
right?
that sounds
And the
good.
material, and the
Yeah.
materials, so they don't have
Materials
to.
are okay, let's take care of the immediate need for sure.
Okay,
Let the council decide budget-wise.
sounds good.
So we have this as I understand it would be, and I'll need someone else to do this, but staff recommendation amended to include the complete design to the entire western point of the two properties, and then a budget option for the buttresses for council consideration.
I move what he said.
I second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve staff recommendation as modified. Can we have a roll call, please?
Okay. Miranda,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
and Franken.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that gets all the parties moving in the right direction. That will now take us to other business. Is there any other business with the commission?
Not at this time. We will have a work session though after the meeting.
Okay, that will then take us to open forum for comment from the public. Is there anyone that would address the commission on any other issues? Seeing none, I have a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
A motion, a second to adjourn. All in favor? We're adjourned.
Yes.
Thank you.